What's up guys, this is Alan, and yes, the title is not clickbait. Today I'm going to be showing you the ugliest, the nastiest, diseased, slow-growing tree you have ever seen in your life. You have never seen anything like this before. This tree I actually planted for a customer, and 2 weeks later he complained the tree was not growing fast enough for him. So I literally went back to his house, dug it out of the ground, and planted it in my yard just to prove a point that some people should not be growing plants. If you want to hear the whole story, well, let's get started. Well, here is the nasty tree that should have died because he was sick. Anyways, guys, let's get started with the story. About 2 years ago, a couple walks into my nursery. Brand new into gardening, they just found me online. They were so excited to see a nursery that carries tropical plants, exotic plants that are very hard to find because hardly anybody in my area sells them and even knows how to actually grow them successfully without just selling you something and telling you stuff that you want to hear just to take your money. Anyways, they come in, they have a long list, and every single tree in their list was cold sensitive or frost sensitive. And by the way they were talking to me, I knew that's not something they were willing to do. I knew they were not gonna cold protect their mango trees every year. They had the assumption that if they bought a bigger mango tree, that it was gonna tolerate the cold a lot better, and they were literally just gonna buy 25-gallon size plants of everything because magically, just because they're bigger, you don't need to cold protect them or frost protect them. Well, that is a lie. So I literally spent, guys, I would say at least 2 hours talking to them. And I convinced them to, instead of starting with cold or frost sensitive plants, I actually told them the truth, that you're gonna have to protect your plants forever, because just because you buy bigger plants doesn't mean you don't need to protect them, because time starts in the ground. And while some plants do actually get stronger as they grow roots in the ground, no plant out there will go through every single winter without any protection. Plants are just like you and I. Do you wear a jacket every single winter? Do you wear a jacket when you were a little kid? Do you wear a jacket now in the winter? Well, why do you think your plants are different then? Anyways, so instead of getting cold or frost sensitive plants, I actually told them to start with easier to grow plants. I told them to get a pomegranate. I also told them to get a mulberry tree. And I grew a vine because they wanted a vine growing over the little vegetable garden. And they also bought a little Grand Duke jasmine since they were, flowering at the time and they look nice. So, they bought one little guys. Now, these people assumed that if you have somebody that knows what they are doing, that you're going to be more successful because somebody else had told them this. And I'm honest. So I literally told them that just because I planted trees for them doesn't mean their trees are going to survive better than if somebody else does. So I literally told them everything they needed to know in order to be successful planting any tree in the ground, which is not much. If you go into my channel, you can see all the planting videos that I have, and something you can actually see in all of them is I don't do anything special. It's not about how you plant the trees, it's literally how you take care of them afterwards. And in my opinion, I would say over 98% of the failures you see out there are water related. And that is usually not enough water. But anyways, so they get one of the easiest plants that I have here at the nursery. Like the plants that I just mentioned, mulberry, pomegranate, grapevine, are extremely easy to grow. So easy that you literally have to try hard killing them. Anyways, they wanted me to plant the trees for them. And since they didn't want to get their $100,000 plus Mercedes SUV dirty, they also wanted me to deliver the plants for them. And I told them, you know what, since I'm going to be planting trees for you, I'm going to go ahead and bring the plants with me. That way it saves you on delivery charge and you don't have to, get your SUV dirty. So they're like happy about it, right? Because I'm saving them money, even more money, by getting them to buy cheaper plants and getting them to buy plants that I know will survive with the type of commitment they were willing to give their new plants. Anyways, so we booked an appointment. A week passes by, and then I showed up to their house. The husband is there, the wife is there, right? And they're so happy to see me. So I literally spent another close to an hour just doing a home consultation at their house. Now, if you didn't know, I offer home consultations. What that means is, if you're local, I come to your house, and then I will walk around your yard, and I will tell you how big the trees are gonna be that you're willing to, that you're trying to plant in the ground. I'm gonna tell you their sun requirements, their winter care. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about all the plants that you are thinking about putting in the ground in your yard. And also, I'll be checking your irrigation system. I can check your drippers, I can check your timer, teach you how to work your timer. I can teach you how long to run your irrigation system, since I'm actually going to be seeing it in person. I can tell you everything you need to know about gardening and irrigation at your yard. So I'm an actual licensed contractor, so you are just not getting some random guy off the street to come over to your yard and show you how to run your irrigation system. We also offer installation. But anyways, guys, so anytime that I plant trees for people, I do a small home consultation, free of charge, because I care about my trees and I want my trees to survive. I want what's best for my trees, not my wallet. So we literally walked around their yard. They have some issues with their citrus. They were dying back, and then obviously it was water related because they were not watering long enough. They had little drippers putting out hardly any water, and I think they were watering maybe twice a day or something like that. And they didn't even know how long they were watering for, because their gardener, the landscaper was doing their watering system. And most landscapers in my area, they have no idea what they're doing. All they know what to do is just dig a hole in the ground. If you expect them to know any more than that, you're out of luck. So anyways, I get done walking around their yard, fixing their watering issues with their citrus. I told them how to water them, everything. They were so happy about it, right? Now, another thing that I do is I also walk around their yard and then tell them where the trees are going to do best. They wanted to put the Pakistan mulberry right next to the block wall. What's a block wall? Well, you see that wall over there? It has a footer on the bottom that goes down 12 inches deep, right? So your Pakistan mulberry, once it gets older, it's going to get huge. And they're not really that invasive, but the trunk is going to get huge if you put it 2-3 feet away from that wall. The size of the trunk itself will push that wall sooner or later. Not right now, not in 2 years, maybe 5 or 10 years, but eventually it's going to push that wall. So that's the only time that you're going to have issues with your mulberry trees, if you put them too close to the structure. So I told them, you know what, put it over here, a different spot. It was like probably 15-20 feet away from that wall. I told them where to put the grapevine, they wanted to put it right against the wall too, and then I guess they didn't know how grapes grow. The trunks get big too, and putting them against the wall wouldn't have been an issue. It just makes it a little more complicated to prune underneath it, to get behind it. So I told them, just put it a few feet away from the wall, and then we literally worked around their yard and marked the ground, right? I put an X for the 3 plants that I was gonna plant in the ground. Now the husband had to go somewhere, and then the wife just went back inside the house to watch me plant the trees through the window. Anyway, so I planted the trees, everything good to go, and then I even planted the little Grand Duke jasmine by their pool. And just to give you an idea, guys, a little visual. Their house was easily, right now in today's market, I would say close to $2 million here in Arizona. For those of you living in California, since I have a lot of Californian viewers, in your area, depending on your area, that house easily $4 to $5 million. Massive pool, travertine everywhere. Anyways, you get the picture, right? All right, so I leave. So usually when I plant trees for people, at the time 2 years ago, I was charging $50 a tree, right? So the bill for that planting was $150. Mind you, I gave them the free home consultation. I delivered the trees for free. I saved them money by buying easier to grow plants, and plants that they were not gonna kill, instead of selling them straight up 25-gallon plants. I literally could have made a few $1,000s out of them, but instead, At the time, I think they spent less than $200 on those plants they bought from me, because I actually told them the truth, not what they wanted to hear. So I left, and I have memory issues, guys, so you know, I forget things. So I didn't send the guy an invoice for about 2 weeks, right? And then going through my booking, I actually noticed that I didn't send him an invoice, so I sent him the invoice and sent him a text message. And you know, within this 2-week period, he didn't say anything. Not a thing from this guy. But as soon as I sent the invoice, he literally sent me a text minutes later. And then the first thing out of his mouth is that the trees are not doing well. They are not growing as they are supposed to. And he doesn't think they're gonna do well. Now, let me give you a picture, guys. This was in the winter time. I think it was late November, December. The trees, this plant right here is a deciduous plant. It goes dormant in the winter. When they go dormant, they will drop their leaves and look like dead sticks. But before they drop their leaves fully, the leaves are gonna turn yellow, brown, and then they're gonna fall off. So the trees were starting to go dormant. Normal. I explained this to him when he came to my nursery. I explained this to him when he chose the plants himself. I explained this to him when I delivered the plants before planting. So he completely understood this. I even told him that the trees are not going to grow until they're fully rooted in the ground. That takes a full year in the ground before the trees actually root themselves in the ground to a point where they can actually start growing up like this nasty, ugly, sick tree that he didn't want. This is a peach tree, by the way, Florida Prince. So anyways, he sends me a text, and I immediately knew what he was doing. He was trying to get out of paying the bill. He did pay it. I mean, he complained, and then he paid it. But, you know, every word after that out of his mouth was complaints. The trees are not going to grow. They're not doing well. They're looking worse. You know, I knew exactly what he was doing, and I was done. I was not gonna waste my time with this guy anymore, or his wife. So what I told him before arguing, I was not gonna argue, because he was doing this on purpose. He was trying to take advantage of my niceness. So I told him, don't worry about it. I will go ahead and give you a refund for the trees, and also give you a refund for the planting. And one thing that he was not expecting, because I think he was expecting two things out of this. The best case scenario for him was to actually get a free planting, maybe just not pay the bill, $150 for the planting. That would have been the best case scenario, and I think that's what he wanted. But instead, he also got a refund for the plants. But what he was not expecting was the next thing that I told him. I told him that I was going to come over to his house and dig up the plants and bring them back. I think that he thought I was not going to do that. Maybe he thought I was just going to leave him in his house, that I'm making millions of dollars selling plants, so, losing a few $100s is no big deal. No. So what I did, I told him I was going to go to his house and dig them up, and that's exactly what I did. I went to his house, and I dug up every single tree that I planted in the ground, and then brought them back to my place. And the funny thing, guys, is he couldn't even face me in person. When I showed up to his house, he magically is not home, and then he tells me the side gate is open. He couldn't even face me after lying to my face. I mean, not face, but, through text messaging, and trying to take advantage of my niceness. After all the hours I spent, and time, and money, trying to help him, trying to be honest, and this person was just trying to rip me off. And then these people were not hurting for money, guys. I mean, anybody can drive over $100,000 Mercedes SUV, because everybody's getting car loans. But you know what? They were not hurting for money. $150 for this guy was nothing. But he tried to rip me off, and I just don't put up with that, you know. I do this for the plants, guys. I don't do this for money. I got a lot more videos coming up explaining backyard nurseries, if you can make money or not. So yeah, keep an eye for those. I got big things coming up soon. But anyway, so I came over, and to make a point, I went to his house, picked him up, and then left everything as if I had never been there. The funny thing is, another thing that he complained about was the grape should have been planted closer to the wall. And that's so funny, because we literally spent, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes talking about that grape, because his wife wanted it right against the wall, and I explained to them why not to put it right against the wall, that it's best just to put it, you know, a few feet away from the wall, so that way you can get around it if you need to, and prune in the back, you know. And then it's just funny that he forgot about the 15 to 20 minutes that I spent with them talking why not to put it closer to the wall. Anyways, guys, so the tree that he was complaining the most was this Florida Prince peach. At the time was probably 1/3 the size, skinny little guy. If you guys watched my bird root tree dirty business video, that's exactly what it looked like. But now it's been in the ground for about 2 years, and it's about 8 to 9 feet tall. It did flower a little early this year, but you can see we had a late frost like we do every single year here in the desert. So when you stone fruits flower early because of a warm winter temperature, and then you get a late freeze, your peach tree will take it. They don't care about the cold, but your flowers, they do. So you can see we lost a lot of the flowers, so we won't have that many peaches this year. But anyways, this tree is about 8 to 9 feet tall. And then guess what? I even had gophers in here. Look at the holes. I even had gophers eating the roots of this peach tree. And even with the gophers eating the roots, and the tree being sick and not growing and not having any potential, according to this guy, look at it now. Does it look sick to you? No, it's not sick. It was never sick. It was just a regular peach tree going into dormancy, and this guy was just trying to rip me off. Now guys, if you're in business, whether you are sell plants or any other type of retail business, you're gonna run into stuff like this. Always. So that taught me a lesson, and that lesson was to, for one, not wait 2 weeks to invoice somebody, and then number two, I charge even higher than $50 per plant to plant in the ground. And number three is just you know, I'm still honest, but I'm not gonna be taking advantage like that ever again. But I'm not gonna let that let me down either and stop me from keep being honest, because that's the main reason why I keep running this nursery. But anyways, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to like it. Any questions, comment below. And then you know, tell me what you would have done if this happened to you. Would you just let the customer have his money, not pay you? Do the same thing, or something else? Anyways, until next time.